What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 4, Episode 3, and it's called Chapter 31, The Weird One.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending of the podcast because we're going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our MVPs or LVPs of the episode. So be sure to stick around for that. And don't forget, guys, always comment below under the video or shoot us a tweet or Instagram post and send us your recap roundups of the episode because we're always down to hear from you guys.
For sure. And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and, as NB mentioned, comment and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into this episode, y'all.
Let's get into it. I really enjoyed this episode. I don't know what it was about it. I guess, I don't know. It was just something really cool. I felt like it was like one of their most Buffy-like episodes ever.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed
vibes.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I feel like, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this like kind of episodic. Every single episode, there's like a new thing and then it comes back to like the main issue, but it's totally that Buffy like setup where it's like, this is the monster we're dealing with today. And I don't know, it was cool. There were some shots that were shot in it that were very different. The pace on it was very like fast and snappy.
And like Sabrina kind of felt more mature. She was more like hornified and like got a new man. It was just like, it just felt a bit more like adult, a bit more mature. It almost felt like they finally got their groove in terms of like, you're right, like how they're templating these episodes.
Yes.
But yeah, let's get into it. Like there's so much to discuss. The ending was so good. So much to discuss.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so it starts off, and it starts off with like the text saying 2 nights ago. So this is like 2 nights before, and Blackwood is in his like storefront church. Like I don't know what the hell that is, but he's waiting there, and it's raining really hard. And this like monster shows up at the front door, and it's like this reanimated dead body. Like he's like stinky and like gross, and he's looking for a new host. And Blackwood is like, take me, I'm like your vessel now,
I'm
because
worthy.
like I'm on your team.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, you're gonna help us, but like you're so weak that we can't even like touch your body. Like you're disgusting. So he's like, I want to look for Sabrina, which is like his biggest pain point. Poor Blackwood is just like
I'm surprised they didn't do like an eye roll moment. I'm surprised he wasn't like, ugh, like her again.
Like, that bitch. Yeah, it was really funny. So and it was kind of funny too because it kind of cuts to Wardwell in the corner and she's like, oh, he's like not strong. Like she like looks over and kind of like questions him because that's what he says to him. Like he's like, you're not strong enough. And it's almost as if Wardwell starts to like lose a bit of like faith in him. I have no idea. I still don't know why Wardwell is there. But another group of people that were there that I didn't see in the last 2 episodes were the kids. The kids are there.
Yeah.
So what's really funny?
So that answers your question.
So that answers my question. It's really funny because this morning I decided I was going to listen to our podcast from last season, like the season 3 finale, to just double check some of the facts that I was like shooting out the last couple episodes. And I'm like, oh, so he does kidnap them when he like attacks the school, but they're just not to be seen. And I think it still does prove the point that they have these kids around, but like they don't do anything. Like they're just like figures.
It's just like the show keeps them there for safety in case they ever need to like bring them back up to the forefront, but they don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
It's kind of weird. So anyway, so he's like, yeah, I need to find Sabrina. And Wardwell, she's like, well, I'm a teacher, so I'm gonna teach you about like the Trojan horse, and like that's what you need to do to like get into this gig. So then it cuts to today, which is like the present time, and Ambrose is checking a dead body. And he's like doing the full autopsy. And while he's checking it, he's like, oh, there's like salt water in it, even though it was found in Sweetwater River. So he's kind of confused as to why there's like salt in the body and like there's all these different things.
Really
that happen
quick,
to the body.
I legit thought that was Jason Blossom because like the way the mouth was like open. Yeah, like the way his mouth was like you can't see me right now, but like his mouth was like all the way open. He kind of looked like he had red hair. I'm like, wait, like is this the connection? Like, is this Jason Blossom? And then like as the episode went on, I'm like, oh no, it's not Jason Blossom. But that would have been really cool because they did say Yeah, because he's like, he was found drowned in Sweetwater River, but then like there was water in his lungs, so like he wasn't dead yet or whatever. Like I was like, oh shit, like it's Jason, and then it wasn't, and I was like, guys, it would have been a perfect setup. It would have been
a cool connection, totally.
If the timelines like matched up, obviously, but yeah. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so he's checking and then the phone rings. So then he goes to the phone, and then while he's on the phone, obviously like this like octopus comes out. And this is the one thing that I will say about the show, and I know that I just have to kind of suspend my detail on it, but they do it quite often where these things happen at the like perfect time while they're like not looking, or
and it's like almost comedic. Like, it's almost here's Ambrose who could save the world and the universe with his powers, but he can't see this like freaking squid like running across the room.
Little squid. Yeah. So like the squid runs away. So obviously it's like running amok, and we're assuming that it's going to go after Sabrina. So then it cuts to Sabrina in her room, and she's doing the spell with the candle man. She like makes a man model. She puts it in the bathtub, pours water all over it. And I'm like, this is just, again, like I said, like just really bad timing. Like, everything that has to do with water is happening in this episode. And I'm just like, okay, bad timing on this candle romance man that she's trying to build. So the next morning she checks it, and he's grown a little bit. He's like those things that when we were kids, you would throw it into the water and then they would like expand.
The plant things, or like those sponge ones.
They'd be like different like toys and stuff. Like I had a dinosaur once, I had like a shark once. Anyway, so he's growing. So she's like, okay, sick. Like my man is coming soon. So Zelda is freaking out downstairs because she's trying to have her breakfast, but she's like, where is Hilda? I need my coffee. I need this. Like she's freaking out.
I didn't realize how incompetent she was. I was like, girl, if I knew how incompetent you were, like you should not be running this coven because you can't even make a coffee. Like also you're a witch. Can't you just like make a coffee magically?
Like put it together. Well, clearly she's just like missing her sister and obviously. She's just like feeling helpless and shit. And she's like, but it's funny because as Sabrina's saying like, oh no, she's at work. Like she does not live here anymore. Sorry about it. She calls up her sister at the store and she's like, you need to come home right now. This arrangement isn't working for me. And she's like, I don't know where my coffee is. I don't know where my newspaper is. And the camera kind of like pans to the table, and like literally the coffee and this like and her cigarettes and her lighter and like the newspaper are just sitting there on the table. So clearly it just shows that like she just feels incapable without her sister. Yeah. And I do love it because I feel like you always get
it's totally natural
like with the aunts, and they've spent like 300 years together. So obviously she's reliant on her quite a bit, but I thought it was really cute. I mean, it's the reality of the world. It's one of those moments where you're just like, yeah, that happens to families all the time when like you get into relationships and whatever. So it was cool. So she hangs up on her. And then it shows Ambrose at the desecrated church, and he's having a meeting with all of the witches of the coven, and he's talking about the Eldritch terrors. So clearly they listened to what we were concerned about last few episodes, which is like Ambrose never is ahead of this. He's always like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. So clearly he did a bit of research.
Yeah, this one was nice. Like all Ambrose. Like he had the starring role in this one.
Totally. So he's based, but he still doesn't really have a lot of information. All he knows is there's 8 of them. They got this information from Roz and Harvey of what they kind of look like, but he's not even really sure about what they look like because he's like, they can take any form. But I'm like, but you have these drawings now, so why do you not know what the form they're going to take? And he already knows that the weird is going to be the next one. So I don't know how he put it all together, but that's what we're expecting. I guess they're just trying to show that like Blackwood and him are kind of on the same page in terms of what they know about what's happening next. So because everybody's asking questions and like no one's really getting answers. And essentially what he says is if they come, you just have to prepare yourself, and we'll have to figure it out when it happens because we can't really do much about them. They're super, super powerful. So after the meeting's done, Mambo Marie kind of like skirts over to Roz, and she's like, oh, how did you know about those like visions and stuff? And Roz is like, yeah, I have this thing called the cunning. I got it from my grandma. And there's this slow, and then she leaves with Harvey, but then there's this slow close-up zoom on Mambo Marie. And it goes back to what you've been saying this whole time, which is like, is she sketchy? Is she trustworthy? And I want to believe that she is trustworthy. But in this moment, I was like, Is she gonna kill her? Is she diabolical? Is she one of the Eldritch Terrors? Like, I started to spiral in terms of like where she stands, because they put this fucking dark ass music behind her. They don't even make it seem like, oh, she found a new witch. So she's like, it's like this like fun music where she's like, oh, I'm excited to like meet this new person. It's like dun 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 dun
totally
dun dun,
agree.
and I'm like, come on, man.
The thing is, yeah, you're right, and like I feel like they're like almost now trying too hard to make her seem like she's evil. But I think with her situation, it might be this thing where it's somewhere in the middle. Like, she might not be fully evil, but she also might not be fully like on the coven side either. She might be like, let's do our own thing because we can run this shit better. So it's maybe somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Like, she's like, I'm just here to like help out with the terrors, but then after that, I'm gonna like want to do my own thing or something. Who knows?
But I felt like it was very much like, I don't want to spill it now, but like it was very much like how Lucas was introduced in the episode. It was the perfect timing, and like you thought that he was some sort of supernatural like being. And I'm like, I bet you he's real. Like, I bet you he's an actual like kid student. We're just thinking he's like the villain because of the way this episode has been timed out. And sure enough, like I was right. So definitely, I feel like the show tries to throw us off, which is natural. Like, every show is gonna try to do that. But with Mambo Marie, like, I don't like. It's definitely weird. The other thing that I have a question about is like, how did nobody in the coven like question Ross to be like, girl, why do you cunt all the time? Like, maybe you should be on our team. Like, 100%.
Hello. Like, yes, exactly. That's the one thing that I wrote down, that it was like, why is this happening
even
right
Sabrina
now?
Like, there should have been a conversation along the way where Sabrina was like, Roz, you should like come join our team. Like, you have like crazy like abilities. You have the power. Maybe Roz could be like, it's okay. Like, I don't want to do that right now. Like, I just want to chill. I wish they had that conversation so that this moment would have made more sense. But to me, I'm just standing here being like, why didn't anyone question Roz? Like, why didn't anyone ask her to be on their team? You know? It's
true, and it feels like it's very weird because there is a history of the cunning women and witches, and how they were being like, they were enemies in the past, but they don't really explain why. And the grandma knew all this information, so you'd think that these witches who are hundreds of years old would know all this history behind why the cunning women and the witches never really got along. And anyway, I just felt like it kind of got thrown out of nowhere. But I have a feeling as to why that is, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Yeah. But anyway, so we're going back to Baxter High, and they're obviously, like, sure enough, learning about squids and octopi in science class. So as they're sitting down, this new kid shows up out of nowhere, Lucas Hunt, and he's obviously going to be this new boo to Sabrina. Yeah. He sits beside her, and then after class he says, well, do you want to, like, can I have your number, and like maybe we can go for dinner because you can show me around Baxter and like tell me the tea on the school. And she's like, well, here's my number, like I don't know about dinner because like I gotta do like funeral shit, but okay, I'll talk to you later. So she leaves, and then Roz kind of catches wind of this, and she stops her, and she's like, yo, could you just go for dinner with this guy? Like, what's normal. The issue? Yeah. And she's like, okay, fine.
It was honestly like one of those friend moments that you're always like kind of waiting for and that you crave in a show like this, where like it was just two girls like talking about boys, and like her friend being like, girl, he's cute, like go after him. It was a cute moment. I liked it.
Yeah. I did feel like these moments don't happen often enough. Yeah. So when it does happen, I feel like they're a little out of place. But I'm down for them to have these like little cute moments, but they just don't happen often enough for me to really appreciate them. So then it cuts to Roz at home, and she's waiting for Harvey. It's like nighttime now, and instead of Harvey coming through, Mambo Marie like literally like walks right into her fucking kitchen, and she basically like spills all the tea, and she's like, oh, by the way, you're actually a witch. It's not just the cunning. And Roz's mind is literally like
blown, like jaw on the floor. First of all, she hears like high heels, like 6-inch heels. She's like, Harvey, is that you? I'm like, girl, do you not hear the heels clinking on the floor? Like, it's not your boyfriend. And then it was Mambo Marie. And then Marie's like, you're a witch, don't you know? Which, again, this whole situation, I was sketched out at. I was like, something is off in this kitchen.
She like shows up into the kitchen like she's so aggressive about it. Why can't she just be like, hey, why don't you come through again?
Okay, so explain the whole scene. Let's break down the whole scene.
Yeah.
And then we can like dissect it.
Yeah. So she tells her that she's a witch, but then she's super, super confused about it. And she's like, let me show you. She like puts her hand over her forehead.
Well, because so first Roz is like, but my grandma never told me that. Like, why wouldn't my grandma tell me any of this stuff? And then she's like, okay, hold on. And then she does what she does.
She's like, here she is. Like,
here's your grandma.
Woman.
Yeah.
Like, here's your grandma. But then again, I still didn't trust her because I'm like, she could, like, she's a witch. She can make anything
So
show
basically
up.
what happens is, like, her grandma shows up and her grandma's like,
yeah,
listen to the Marie. She's totally right. Like, you know, like, you're a witch. And I just didn't believe any of it because I was just like, this is way too convenient. I feel like her grandma would have definitely told her this, like, for sure at one point in her life, or would have somehow, like, come to her more genuinely. And like organically instead of like through Marie. So I definitely, after that scene, I was like, I don't trust Marie like at all.
Yeah, I just don't know where she like lands on all this, but like I said, I think I have a theory.
And
anyway,
like, wouldn't Roz just like touch Marie's arm and be like, bitch, I know what your plan is? Like, can't you just do that?
But that's one of the things that make me feel like she is trustworthy because of the fact that she like has the cunning, so she would know that Marie's sketchy. Right. But also, I'm like, you didn't even know she was going to walk through your fucking front door. So, like, how strong is your fucking power?
Yeah.
Anyway, so she sees this using the eyeball. And then right at the very end, Harvey comes through. And she's like, oh, shit, he can't really know that you're here. And then she disappears. And so does her grandma. And Mambo essentially says the reason why you're learning about this now is because we need your help. The Eldritch Terrors are here. We need all the help we can get.
Yeah, which
but
I guess,
it goes.
Yeah,
I get it, but like it goes back to what you were saying. Like, why couldn't these guys recruit her from time? Like they needed her help from time.
So, what she was trying to say too, like her grandma was like, we couldn't call ourselves witches. Like we had to call each other. What do they call each other?
The cunning women.
The cunning women. So she's like, for your own protection. Like we never told you that you were a witch. Which, I don't know, it still kind of feels like a weird story. Like, I don't know.
It feels very weird.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, they knew that the Spellmans were witches, too. Like, couldn't the grandma be like, oh, but, like, she's a trustworthy witch. Like,
yeah,
like,
if they ever need your help, like, go to help, like, go to them. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, whatever. So then it cuts to the cafe, and Sabrina and Lucas are talking about like how she's feeling, and Sabrina's basically like, I feel disconnected. I don't really know what my future holds for the first time ever, and that's not really something that I'm familiar with. I just feel like I don't have a place in the world right now. So she's like feeling some type of way about herself, and he just talks about the fact that he likes swimming. So I was like, okay, cool. And I like the way that they set it up because they made it feel like he was going to be there for a while. But then at the same time, I'm just like, he doesn't stay for the entire, like he doesn't even stay for an entire episode. So like, I was kind of bummed that they even gave him any.
I was definitely excited. Yeah, I was definitely excited to have a new interest for her. And he was really cute. He was like a cute little kid. So I'm like, I'm down for this. And then, nothing happened. So
nothing happens. So anyway, he takes her home and she kisses him on the front porch. And then she's like, see you tomorrow. And then she has.
And it's a good kiss. She liked the kiss.
Yeah, it's like the kiss of kisses, and then she like gets hornified because of it, and so she like falls asleep, and she has like a literal wet dream of Lucas.
Liquid dreams.
Yeah, liquid dreams. she's in a bathing suit. He's in a bathing suit, and like they're just talking to each other. But as he's talking, it's like mixed in with like the Eldritch Terror because he keeps saying things that are like, "We're gonna consume the world," and da 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 da. And she's still like in dreamland because she's like hornified, so she doesn't even really get it that he's evil. And then she like literally is having a wet dream, and then she wakes up in the tub.
Yeah.
And the wax man is a lot larger than he was the day before, and he's standing over her. So I didn't really understand what was happening there, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Caliban in hell, and we done booked this shit. He is still evil. He is still like trying to kill and take over hell.
Yeah.
And he's talking to the two kings of hell. And basically he mentions that Sabrina and Lucifer are on a, I don't know, like a father-daughter trip, like around hell, which is why they're not there. And my question to you is, why are the kings even helping? Like, did we clear any of that up last season? Like
Yeah.
they leave these like really empty holes where like I know the kings were evil and they didn't like the morning stars. They never liked Lucifer, which is why they came forward to help Caliban.
I think they just symbolize like the patriarchy and like they symbolize like the male side. So like they want Caliban to be the top. So they like work for him, I guess.
But you'd think that Sabrina, being the queen of hell, would have been like, kill these guys right away. Like, why are they even around anymore? Like, keep Caliban around because I'm married to him. But like, why do these waste men need to be here? Like, they literally tried to kill her.
Yeah.
So I was kind of confused as to why they're even there still. But they're trying to help him, and they do this weird thing where Caliban takes this doll of Lilith and puts like mud or like clay on her stomach, and then it makes her stomach grow in real life. So Lilith is like sitting there putting her lipstick on. I don't know if you noticed this, but like that scene, that shot where she's putting her lipstick on, I don't know, I don't put lipstick on, but you can tell me, like, was she putting lipstick on weird?
I didn't. I don't even remember what scene you're talking about right now.
Oh, like she was putting on lipstick, and then she starts having these crazy contractions.
Yeah,
and then her stomach starts growing like crazy, and she's freaking the fuck out. She's like, this body's like ripping her apart. Were you shocked?
Like, did you think that it was gonna happen this quickly?
Well, I didn't know what he was actually doing because I was like, is he like inserting himself into the baby? Like, what is he doing with this spell? And then I realized that he's just trying to kill her by like making the pregnancy go faster. But it's like what I was saying, I think like last episode, which was like, where is this baby? We keep talking about the fact that she's done been pregnant. Like, where is this child? She doesn't look like she's pregnant at all. So I'm kind of glad that they accelerated it, but
and I wonder if much like in Twilight, I don't know if you remember Twilight, but like the baby like grows like so fast, and then like it like becomes an adult so fast. So like I wonder if like that's what's gonna happen to this baby. Like by season end, is it gonna be a full-fledged like man? You know?
Well, we know what happens to babies in this fucking show. They obviously always accelerate into adults that never talk. So that's what's gonna happen. I have no idea. So she has to deliver this baby now. And I was like, damn, Caliban like really just gave her a shitload of stretch marks. That's so rude. So she goes to the human realm, and she's like, I need to like ask for help. She goes to the academy, and Zelda's like, what's going on? Lilith's like, the baby's here. It's not supposed to be here, but like I need help. Like I need to deliver this baby or I'm gonna die. And so she brings the entire coven together, and it is like one of the craziest scenes ever. My jaw dropped watching it because I'll never know what childbirth really feels like, obviously, but the way that these women and just the scene and how it was shown, they basically stand around her and they're channeling her pain. And I was just like in awe, and also like watching them scream. I was like, oh my God, like you felt it almost.
You know felt it, and like it's such a powerful moment, and I'm so happy 100%. That they had a scene like this. Like, you know, last week we saw, you know, the last episode we saw like Hilda getting married and like all these beautiful moments for these women and their stories. And this one was just, I'm really happy that like they covered it. The really funny thing was like I was watching it downstairs, and then my fiance comes down like right when like they're screaming in unison. I'm like, this is Sabrina. Like, how do you explain that?
He's like, I'm not going to be
okay, well, I'm going back upstairs.
That's so fun. So she does deliver the baby, and she stays alive, and we're all good to go. Then it cuts to Baxter High, and it's Sabrina and Lucas again, and they're just like about to dissect this squid, but every single time she puts the knife to the squid, she gets like this pain in her stomach. Yeah, she gets like cramps. Yeah. So,
did you know what that meant right from that moment?
Yeah, I pretty much was like, okay, like it's inside of her.
I was
somewhere.
so confused. Yeah, I didn't get it at all.
She's getting her period.
I was like, oh my God, she's like a vegetarian. Like she can't even hurt animals. Like it hurts her.
Right. So and he ends up taking her home. He's like, I'll take her home. And it was kind of cute because there is a moment where Harvey actually jumps up from his his
I
side, and
saw
he's like,
that.
I'll take her home.
Yeah.
So they're putting these little nuggets in here, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Subtle.
But like,
and then she was like, no. Subtle. She's like, Lucas can take me home. And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. And I did like the fact that it didn't do like a close-up shot of Roz being like jealous of that moment.
Yes, totally.
It was more just about the fact that like Harvey still has feelings,
very subtle,
and cares for her.
It was very subtle. You're right. Yeah, it was.
And
good.
it wasn't too like obvious, like drama. You know what I mean? So I liked it. So then
I
back
love when
at
shows
home,
do that.
Lucas, it was really like it's well played. So back at home, Lucas is like, okay, you're okay. And she's like, yeah, I'm good. And he's about to leave. And she was like, before you leave, let's just like have sex.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm down.
He's like, I'm down. So then she like shoves him onto the couch. She starts making out with him. And then as they're kissing, he's like, ooh, ow. Like your tongue is like feeling weird. And she's like, what's wrong with my tongue? And then she sticks out her tongue and he's like, oh!
He's like,
literally
goodbye.
He's like, you got gonorrhea, bitch. Like, I'm out of here. And so
it looked so gross. Oh my god, it made my stomach turn. It was like Hilda last season with like the things on her face.
The spiders. Yeah.
Ugh, so gross.
So nasty. So yeah, she checks her tongue as soon as he runs away. And there's like these suction cups on it. And she's like, oh shit. So then she obviously goes straight to Ambrose. And he's also like, oh shit. Because he says that the dead body that he was checking also had that on his tongue. And he also had like squid in his, like ink in his body. And, his blood turned into ammonia, all this shit. So he's like, I think you're turning into a squid. So she's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. My professional advice is you're turning into a squid. Yeah.
So then he kind of makes a connection in that moment that it's the weird. And I'm like, why didn't you? Anyway, whatever. I can't even with the fact that he gets to these conclusions so slowly. But he's like, okay, well, it's in you. And she's like, get it out of me. So they do a scan of her body. And it's kind of this cool magic that
this was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, where they basically do a CAT scan on a piece of parchment paper and like blast it through her like an X-ray almost. And there's this like perfect drawing of a squid in the area that she was feeling the cramps.
Like in her intestines.
Kind of sitting there and like waiting. So she's like, you need to cut me open and get it out. And he's like, okay, fine. So then he cuts her open and he's trying to look for it. But then before he's about to like, kind of like reach in to grab it, it like slinks away. Yeah. It like slides away. And it was so disgusting.
So gross.
And then he's like, okay, well, we need to figure out how to get this out of you. And he notices that she's like super, super thirsty. And he's like, okay, well, one thing that we can do is try to starve it out. Like it needs water to survive. Yeah. So if we extract the water from your body, then it's not going to be able to live there and it'll just like jump out of your body. So he enlists the help of both Sycorax, which is the river witch, and Nick to kind of help with this version of an exorcism, essentially. And I just love this moment too, with Nick being there supporting her.
I feel like Nick knows so much about every single like spell in the universe.
And I just thought it was really cute. He was like, I'll be here to support you. Like, it's, like, I'm down
very
to help
cute, but also like the fact that we just saw like Harvey reaching out to her and then now Nick, I was like, guys, last episode, you guys could care less about this girl. Like, you left her in the ditch. So like, obviously, like all of a sudden now you're like caring about her. Like, it was so like,
it's true.
Drastic.
But I'm just like, definitely something's stirring.
Coming up.
Something's happening for sure. So then it cuts to him getting it, like her getting it out.
And it came out so easily. I was like, oh, like that's it? Like, we're only halfway through the episode. How did it come out so easily?
It was like very, very fast. So like obviously we're all sketched out like how quickly it happened. And he's like, Ambrose says, I'm gonna dissect this so I can like keep an eye on it, but I'm also gonna tell like the ants what done happened, which I don't even think he does because they don't get involved later on anyways. Anyway, so he goes to dissect the rest of the body. Then it cuts to hell, and Caliban tells the kings to go back to Greendale and kill the baby because they report back and they're like, oh, by the way, like she done had the baby like successfully. She ran away. So he's pissed and he's like, go pretend that you're there to like give the baby gifts and like try to kill this child because I'm pissed off right now. And so then it cuts back to the academy, and we have Roz walking into the academy for the very first time.
Yeah.
Or not the first time, but like as I guess like a witch recruit.
Yeah.
So she walks in and she sees Prudence, and I love this moment because like Prudence shades her so fucking hard.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know
what's
who
your
you
name?
are.
She's like, who are you again? And Roz is like, girl, we've been like running missions this whole series. Like, where have you been?
She's like, I don't know your face. I don't care. Which was really funny. And then Marie's like, okay, well, let's test your power and see what you can do. So Prudence starts pulling all these tarot cards. And while she's being blindfolded, Roz is able to like call them all out like real quick. And Prudence is like, oh my God, you really do have powers. I'm like, has anybody been denying the fact that Roz has powers this whole time? But then I don't know what it was, if it was just like the moment or like because she was at the academy, but then Roz gets this vision of the kings coming to see the baby. So they run upstairs where Lilith is with the baby, and they're like, we need to prepare ourselves because obviously they're here to kill the child.
Yeah.
So the entire coven go at the front door.
Again, like, are you telling me if it wasn't for Roz cunning, they would not have known any of that?
They wouldn't have been prepared. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like, just perfect timing for everything. So they pretend to be nice for like 2 seconds before they're basically like, we want the baby, whatever it takes, we'll fucking get that baby back. And Zelda's like, no, that's not gonna happen, we're gonna fucking kill you. So it was kind of cool what they ended up doing, which was they used the power of Hecate to invoke the feeling of childbirth.
Crazy. Oh my God.
And these guys literally
like
died
exploded
from the feeling of childbirth. Which I thought was kind of funny because it's really like funny. It's always that whole thing where people are always like, oh, you don't even know how it feels to have a child, and guys are like, it's not that hard. I mean, I'm sure no one says that,
but it's still pretty cool to see like someone completely like explode and die from the pain of it. So
like their bodies legit cannot handle it. Yeah. So one of them does die in Greendale, or it's assumed that he dies in Greendale, and the other one like flies away, or like he burns away back into hell. So in hell, he comes back and he's like, they done kill the other one. They tried to make us have babies, and like we're almost dying right here. And Caliban is basically like, okay, well then they want a war.
Yeah.
The one thing that I did want to say in this moment was, do you feel like there is too much evil happening at the same time?
I feel like that all the time. Like that's my constant thought watching this entire show. I just feel like there's so many different storylines, and like there's some of them are connected and some of them are not, and then some of them like connect later on. It's like it's very confusing. I mean, we're confused half the time. Like, you know what I mean?
like even like I'm not even joking. Listening to the season finale that we recorded last year, I listened back to it and I didn't even understand what the fuck I was saying because it was so confusing. Anyway, so it cuts back to the academy, and Zelda and Hilda invite Lilith and the baby to stay in Sanctuary. One of the things that I did notice from this moment, though, was she says it as if the Dark Lord, like she thinks the Dark Lord is behind this attack. So are we assuming that they don't really know that Caliban is the one that's trying to kill her?
Probably, yeah.
Which I'm kind of annoyed by, because I'm just like, can they not just say Caliban is trying to kill her? Like, it's just like, weren't we already here with like them hating the Dark Lord and him being like a scheming douchebag?
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, moving on to Baxter High, and Sabrina and Lucas go to class, and just before class starts, he drops the knife on the floor, and then as soon as he gets back up, the whole class goes into like zombie mode, including Sabrina. Like the entire like room freezes basically, and Sabrina starts speaking as the Weird, and she is like, we are going to consume the world, everybody kill yourself. So they all put their knives to their neck, and like just in the nick of time, this show should be called Sabrina in the Nick of Time. Ambrose comes through the door, and because he was dissecting the squid at the same time, and it started to move, and he's like, oh no, it tricked us. So he runs back to the school.
So wait, a part of it was still in her?
Yes. So what happens later, which I'll explain, is the consciousness stayed in her body. But,
okay, I didn't get that.
Knocks her. Yeah, he knocks her out at school. He knocks everybody else at school. out, including Lucas, but Lucas has already seen everything that had done happen. So he's like freaking the fuck out. But everybody passes out. And then, which is, I don't really understand why they kept him awake. Like why they focus on him staying like conscious of it while everybody else was frozen. Anyway, I was like, is he a magical being? Like, what was the situation there? Like, it made me feel like he had some sort of magical power, but he doesn't. Then it cuts back to home. Ambrose does a scan, and then he realizes that the consciousness of the weird is now attached to her brain, so they still need to extract it. And it's not really like the body, it's more just like the soul of the weird.
Yeah.
So he's like, what we're going to do is we're going to use Pesta, who's the rot witch, to disease her brain so then it like leaves her body. But what she needs to do is focus in on a good mantra to kind of keep herself going, because he's like, it's more of like the battle of wills, and you just have to like be awake and like conscious of yourself while your brain is basically getting diseased.
Very complicated.
Very complicated. So she's like, don't worry, I got one. And so while this is happening, again, Nick is there to support her, and I was living for it. And so while this whole thing is happening, she starts singing the song 16 Going on 17 from the famous musical Sound of Music. Mm-hmm. And I was
It was cute. It was very cute. Yeah.
It was really cute. So she's singing it, but then she starts like glitching out.
Yeah.
She's like, I. And then he like stops it and tries to kind of support her through it and sings with her. And while she's singing the song with him, the thing just like flies into the body of an octopus that's in a tank at the moment. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that happens, Ambrose uses like a freezing spell to freeze
the tank. It looked so cool.
The tank into the body or whatever. So it was that. I mean,
so can I just pause right here?
Yeah, go ahead.
And just like kind of like discuss this with you. It's so hard to kind of like choose between Harvey and Nick in this moment. He's so cute and he knows her so well, and like he just wants to protect her, but Harvey wants the same thing. And like it's just so hard when you look at these two guys. You're like, but who's gonna end up with her? Like, who is she gonna end up with? Is she gonna end up with anyone?
Hard. Yeah, it's tough because I feel like it just brings back the whole question of, you know, she has so much history with Harvey, and like, you know, they've known each other for so long, and he really cares for her, but he's pretty helpless when it comes to like anything magical to help her out. Whereas with Nick, she doesn't know him that long, and he's really dark and sexy, and he has magical powers, so he could protect her, but like they just don't have the same like upbringing. Like he's damaged and he has like issues, and you know, so he's got to work through his own shit.
It's interesting because like when you compare it to Buffy, like she only ever had one like love. Right. She like Angel was just her guy forever. So there was only that one focus. But like with this, it's like these two polar opposite kind of guys, but they still care about her. Obviously, they're gonna come back at some point in the season, and like
100%,
something's gonna happen. You just know it. But yeah, it's just I'm sitting there and I'm like, but they're both so cute. Like I don't know which one I want her to end up with. So
it's true, and it's almost even harder now that they've been broken up for a while, and now that they're both with people. Yeah, like Harvey's with Roz. You know, Prudence is with Nick technically, so you know it's harder when other people are involved when it comes to this kind of stuff. But speaking of which, Roz visits Harvey at his house, and he's like, hey girl, what's going on? And she's about to tell him what's happening, and then it cuts to the next scene, so you don't really see her explaining it, so you assume that maybe she done tell him, but you find out she doesn't later on. But anyway, going back to the school, it shows Sabrina sitting in class, and Lucas literally like transferred to Riverdale.
Yeah, he went to Riverdale.
He's like, he could not last like 2 episodes in this fucking show. And I assume that it had to do with like the magical being, like this magical human that she was growing in her tub, but I feel like they weren't connected.
No,
like,
they weren't connected at all.
By chance, he just showed up, and you know, he was there, and then he got freaked out.
That's what I mean. I feel like
he just dipped.
They made it seem like he was either like the Trojan horse that like they created, or like the fake like candle person. But I don't think he was either. I think he was just like a random kid who like came to the school and then like went to Riverdale after. So yeah.
Do you think it's a way to connect this actor to Riverdale? Like, are we expecting to see Nick in Riverdale?
the way that I've seen them barely connect anything to Riverdale. I just don't see that happening because it's like he's so minimal and like I don't know. There's so many moments, so many big moments where they could have connected the two shows and like they just haven't done it more than I would expect.
I know.
So I don't know.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then that happens. He's not there anymore. And then Ambrose and Sabrina have a conversation, and it's kind of this like recap of how she's feeling. And she's like, one of the things that the weird said when it was in my body is I'm a vessel, and it was easy for him to control her because she's like empty. Like she doesn't have like a goal, or she doesn't have like a foundation. And she basically says like, he's right, and I need to start focusing on myself again. So it's this kind of like final moment where she goes back home and she's like, no more boys. She pulls the water out of the tub, and like the candle man,
great moment,
I guess, is done. Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna focus on me now. And then we get a final moment at the academy where Roz is being shown to like a room with like planets, and, you know, Prudence is there with Marie, and they're kind of showing her the lay of the land. And Prudence asks a question about, you know, like, oh, like, as long as this is okay with your mortal boyfriend. And Roz has to say that she ended up not telling Harvey. And that led me to conclude that they really are going to be resetting this Nick, Harvey, Sabrina triangle. Because obviously secrets aren't going to fly with Roz and Harvey. He's already been, you know, dealing with a witch girlfriend from time, and now like Roz is in there and she's lying to him. So I just feel like it's like not going to work out for them, unfortunately. So then they can set up that triangle. And I do feel like it kind of sucks because Roz has the cunning. So can't she just be like, if I don't tell him, this is what's going to happen. If I do tell him, this is what's going to happen. Like, what's the point of having powers if you can't fucking do that?
You could say that about everything that like she goes through, but I thought it was really funny because at one point, like when we found out that she's a witch, I'm like, literally like Harvey's Bumble profile is going to be like, don't date, like, please no witches, like in the future. No witches. And then like Theo says that like later on, she's like, oh my God, like, or he's like, you have so like you have a type, like you just date witches. So I would love if they would explore Harvey a little bit more, and maybe like it comes back around and he's like kind of over it, and he starts to hate the witches. He's like, I hate you guys for like all the,
you like ruined my life.
Yeah, like whatever, all the mystical shit that like you guys bring to our town, whatever the case may be. It'd be interesting if like they kind of dive deeper into that. But I don't know. Definitely like it's gonna be some sort of triangle, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just it's weird for me to feel like they're going to be able to fit all of this into 8 episodes. They won't, Like there's only 6 episodes left, so it like it's really funny that you mentioned. I think you mentioned in the first episode of this podcast that, you know, like I wonder if they knew they were getting canceled. And really, based on the writing right now, I really don't think so.
No.
Like, especially this episode, I was like, I don't know, man. Like, they really didn't. They're setting up a lot of, like, long game storylines. So I don't know how this is going to end.
Yeah.
One of the things. So this is the tea, okay?
Yeah.
This is my theory.
Yeah.
So at the very end of that scene, Prudence joins hands with Roz, and Roz joins hands with Marie, and she's like, this is the new Weird Sisters. And the way it was set up and the way they lined it up, it almost felt like our man, RAS, could be setting up a spinoff. Number 1, do you think that's the case? And number 2, would you be down?
Number 1, I don't think that's the case because his shows keep failing and keep getting canceled. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like this universe that he was trying to create, for whatever reason, it's just not working out. And their shows are like, freaking What's Her Face's show got canceled. Katie Keene. This got canceled. So, you know, they should have just done the Josie and the Pussycats reboot. Maybe that would have worked out for him, you know? No shade, all shade right there. But, I don't see it happening because I just feel like it's not enough, maybe, and I just feel like it's probably not going to fly with like the network.
But would you be down for something like that? Would you be down for like a spinoff?
I'm always down for something. Like I'm always down for a spinoff. Yeah. It's whether or not they can like if they can do it right. But I don't know. I don't know.
The one thing that I will say, because I look at the 3 actors and the 3 characters, and they do have like something that Sabrina doesn't bring to the table.
Which is, I would agree. Yeah.
You know, like Prudence has such good acting chops. I think that she's always been such a highlight of this show to me. I think that Roz is also a really good actress, and I think that her power is unique enough. And like, I feel like the fact that they've introduced this like you're a witch at this very end point of this series makes me feel like they're trying to set her up for something even greater. And I'd be interested to see if there's more like history that we can get from her having the cunning and like this and this. And then there's Mambo Marie, which is a completely open storybook in terms of what her backstory is, like where she comes from. So there's a lot to build on for a spinoff if that's what they decide to do, or if it does get picked up. But
having said that, it definitely
felt like that's what they were doing.
I do feel like they're stronger together in the sense that like the white girl coven and the black girl coven,
agreed,
they're just stronger in the same show. And if they just kind of played off, and maybe that's where they were going to go next season. Like, we don't know, right? Like, that maybe they were going to pivot to that. But at this point, we don't know anything.
We shall see. And then at the very end, we have Blackwood once again saying, well, that did not work out for the weird.
So now he's 0-3.
Yeah, he's 0-3. And the next one he's like, is the perverse. And I'm going to take that shit on. He's like, it's going to be me.
Like, it's gonna be me.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do want to mention really quickly is, as much as they make these Eldritch Terrors seem like the end of all the world, like they're killing them all in like one episode.
I'm so happy you said that. I am so happy you said that, because I was like, first of all, you guys don't scare me. Clearly, like, Sabrina just has to fucking throw this shit out and like it's gone. It's just you guys are like hyping it up to be like the end all be all, and it's truly not. He even doesn't scare me as a villain. Like, he's the worst villain of all time. He can't get anything done.
He's literally sitting there.
Yeah, he's like
sitting there being like, oh.
Yeah.
It's a really weird setup, and I almost wish that they did like 4 Eldritch Terrors, so then every other episode you kind of have like 2, you have a little bit more time battling this thing, instead of being like, oh, one episode's done, oh, they're gone now, oh, they're gone now, oh, they're gone now. I'm like, so were they strong or not? Like, I don't understand. And then obviously we're expecting this gigantic explosion like thing that's going to happen in the finale. So I'm just like, that's obviously going to be completely unbelievable if they're making it this easy for her to kill everybody right now. Because obviously she's going to win. This show's not going to end.
Do they progressively get harder? Like, they don't even talk about that. Like, is each one like going to get more difficult? Or
and like, what's the perverse? Like, is he going to go around like having sex with everybody? Like, what's the deal? We'll see. So that is the episode.
That's it.
Let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment. My best moment, I think I'm gonna give it to Ambrose and his whole investigation, like his new skills, his new CT scan machine. He's like dissecting shit now. It's like nip tuck. Like, I was down for like all of Ambrose, like, and his tools, and all of that. It was cute.
It's like Grey's Anatomy Ambrose edition.
Yeah.
I have a couple of best moments. The first one was the birth of Adam with Lilith giving birth. I thought it was such a powerful scene. It really reminded me of that final, like one of the final scenes in season 3 where they try to bring Hilda back from the dead, and like she invokes Hecate. I thought it was so cool to see this like coven come together. You know, like I'm all about like the girl power, the witch power, like coming together to help out. So I thought it was cool. And also, again, for the same reason, the witches attacking the kings and like giving them the power and pain of childbirth, which I thought was really cool.
And also like the idea of like the fact that like she gave birth to a male. So like, you know, down the road, like, is Sabrina gonna have to fight baby Adam? Like, what's gonna happen with all of that?
Yeah, I think that's what they were setting up for, because even when she found out she was pregnant with a boy, she did say, and Lucifer was like, ooh, okay, a little bit of a challenge. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
WTF moment.
WTF moment. I'm gonna give it to Mambo Marie showing Roz, her grandma, in the kitchen because I was
Right.
just like, girl, this is fake news.
What's happening?
Like, this feels fake. Like, I hope it's not fake. I hope it's real. I hope it's genuine. But like, this just felt
Yeah.
very fake and very convenient. And her grandma was like, whatever she says, listen to her, girl. Like, she's right. And I was like, I don't know if I believe this. Like,
Yeah.
You know?
Felt very convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Mine is Lucas dipping after like 5 seconds and being like completely useless.
Yeah.
Other than, getting Sabrina to come to the conclusion that she should focus on herself.
Yeah.
Which I guess is important.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
at the same time, I'm just like, you didn't have to bring an entirely new character. Like she could have just been speed dating the entire time or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
MVP.
MVP is gonna go to Roz. Just
Okay.
for like I feel like she's gonna now be this like really, really like huge character in this season moving forward. And I'm so
Yeah.
excited for this role that she has because I do feel like she's sort of been this like underplayed character all along with this like
Yeah.
amazing power that she like comes everywhere. But like now she's actually
kinda-
gonna like be a witch and like actually do something with it. So
I'm excited about that. My MVP is gonna go to Ambrose because he like literally
Yeah.
did everything.
Yep.
And I feel like he's gotten a few MVPs this season so far because it seems like they're really defaulting to him being the one that isn't the ants. He's the one that's kind of like helping Sabrina through all the shit. Too.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's gotten a strong role this season for sure.
LVP.
My LVP, I'm gonna give it to Zelda because homegirl
For
can't
that
get her
reason
shit
alone.
together. Like she's like
Yeah.
all over the place. Like even having a new girlfriend like clearly hasn't like boosted her confidence
Focused her
in
up.
any way. Like
Yeah.
she's still a fucking mess. So I don't understand where her headspace is at. Yeah, she's my LVP.
She should get Mambo Marie to move in with her and like hang out with
like
her
come on.
at home, and then she can have coffee and read the newspaper with her.
Yeah.
My LVP is gonna go to Lucifer and Sabrina for literally disappearing at the worst possible fucking time ever. In hell.
Yeah.
Like, why were they just completely absent from this
It was
episode?
such a weird excuse. Like it was so weird.
It's just, it annoys me. And it's like I was saying earlier, which is like they have these convenient moments that happen that I'm just like, really, bitch? Like that is just so convenient to happen right now. So yeah, I was a little annoyed, and I'm more curious, like what's gonna happen when they come back. Like, are they gonna find out about Caliban right away?
Yeah.
Is Caliban gonna fucking we're gonna have to deal with Caliban for the next like 6 episodes, which I really don't want to happen because we already dealt with him last season. I just
Hold
hope
on,
that
did
they
she
nip that in
marry
the bud
Caliban?
quickly. Yeah,
It actually
she's
went
like
through.
literally.
So why is
married,
Caliban
yeah.
still there, but she's on a honeymoon with her dad? Like it doesn't make any sense.
That's
like
I'm
what
saying.
the
None of it makes
fuck? Like go with your husband. Like what the hell?
Like you'd literally think that was what they would do.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna go on the honeymoon, the 7 circles of hell with each other, not like your dad.
It's weird.
So weird.
The best line. Best line. I'm gonna give it to Prudence and Roz. And Prudence is like, "Do I know you?" And Roz is like, well, yeah, I'm Roz, Sabrina's friend. We've met like 5 or 6 times." I was cracking
great.
up. It was so
Yeah.
funny.
And like I said, I feel like there's such
They're
a
dynamic.
natural-
There's something like
dynamic,
They're
yeah.
cute together.
They're cute together, and I think that they're both they honestly really are really good
Yeah,
actresses.
they are.
My best line is gonna go to when Lilith is like screaming in pain. She's like giving birth to this child, and Zelda says, "Don't fight it. That is the way of men," which I love. That really quick line that just like got inserted in there because I'm just like, it's not bashing you over the head that it's like women versus men, but it definitely like has these strong moments where it's just like, this is what men represent and this is what they would do in a situation like this versus a woman who's able to embrace and push and have more thought around what she's doing, which I love. I love those little lines that they give them.
Yeah, agreed.
So that is the episode, y'all.
That is
We're almost halfway through.
Yeah.
We're kind of trucking right through this. So let us know what you guys think about the season so far. Make sure you guys are commenting below. And yeah, that's it. And at this time, I would like to take the time to thank our patrons of the episode, our Rewinder Squad, White, Nicole, our Lit Rewinders, Tina Ann, Soleil, and Kate, and our Mommy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Grace.
And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind, exclusive content, and updates.
And also make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. You can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes. Like, subscribe, follow, review, and comment. Don't forget to comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.